Hi, this is Amber from the A Team. We're going to take a look at the settings in your Gmail box. In the top right-hand corner, click on Settings. There are several settings that show in this Quick Settings menu. So let's take a look at those in the Quick Settings and then we'll go to All Settings. We've already talked about the density of your mailbox, default, comfortable, and compact. One of the things that's also available to you are themes. You can choose a theme that just spices up the view of your mailbox. You can choose from the ones that are available here, or you can click on View All. You can also choose from My Photos. So you have images, more solid colors, and you also have the ability to find more images. So if you find something that you like, you can click on it and notice that it changes the view of your mailbox. You can also see that the background of your text changes and the vignette can also change. And you can also blur it. If you'd like to blur the image, simply click your blur and you'll notice how that's blurring in the background. You can also change the vignette to make the corners darker. I've done it a little more drastically so that you can see the difference. And you can also change your text background from light to dark. So you'll notice in the mailbox that changed from light to dark. So it's whatever you prefer. If you don't want to have a theme in your mailbox, you can simply click cancel and go back to your normal mailbox. I'm going to go back up to settings. So those were themes. Inbox type is an important thing to think about because the way you use your email box might be made more efficient by the type of inbox type that you choose. There is a default, and that's what everyone has, but what you may want to do is have your important messages first, have your unread messages first, put your starred first so you don't even have to go to that label, or you can use the priority inbox or have multiple inboxes. So I'm just going to change mine to unread first, and one of the things you'll notice, this has already been read, and you know it's been read because it's not bold. So if I choose unread first, that's going to go away, and all of my unread are going to be at the top, and anything that I've already read will be in everything else. I can do the same thing to important first. This is an unused mailbox, so there's really not the important flags. You can also choose starred first. So any that are starred will be at the top. So if you're using your stars as a to-do list, this can be super helpful. Priority inbox means that you have tabs, and this can be a little confusing for some people to decide how to use their priority inbox, but you can also click customize and decide what you want in your priority inbox. Do you want to have important and unread? Do you want to have star? Do you want to have tabs across the top? So maybe I would like to have unread first, and then I would like to have important next, and so then I've got my priority inbox. So when I go back to my inbox, I'm going to have those sections of my mailbox. So here's everything else, here's start, and that's like having separate tabs. So I'm going to go back to that because I actually don't like using the priority inbox or the multiple inboxes. I do, however, like having the unread at the top, so that's something you may want to choose. So that is entirely up to you, whatever you prefer. So now I'm going to go down, and we've talked about splits before, and that was also available from your split menu, vertical split, horizontal split. That also, the reading pane is available there. And we've already talked about turning on or off conversation view. So that again is entirely up to you. But these aren't all the settings in your inbox. We're going to go to See All Settings. That's going to take us into some more robust settings. So we're going to take a look at several of these options in these tabs across the top. So first we're going to be on the General tab. Your tab for language is already set, but you could change your display language if you needed to. What we are going to talk about are maximum page sizes. You'll remember when we were browsing through our mailbox, that it showed 50, you can actually change how many emails you want to appear on a page here. The most you can have is 100, the least you can have are 10, so that can be changed there. But this is one of my highlighter moments. Many times someone will hit send on an email and realize they forgot to attach something, or they forgot to include someone, or forgot to include a message. You actually can change how long you can wait to undo send. The longest that you can set it for is currently 30 seconds. So when you first come here, you're going to want to make sure you have changed this to 30 seconds so you have the maximum amount of time to undo a send if you needed to make changes to your message. The other thing that I would like to show you is the default text style. You can actually decide which of the fonts that are in the list you would like to use, the size of the fonts you would like to use, and what the color will be. And it shows you what the body of your text will look like so that you can get an idea. Just a few words of caution. If you change this every time that you send an email, it will, when you start typing, it's going to type in this text. Now you know that you can go into your email and change things to be bold or italics or that kind of thing. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the default text style. So you can actually change what you want it to be. So if you want it to be in a different format, and if you wanted it to be small instead of normal or whatever, you can do that. And if you'd like to use color, you can. Just a couple words of caution. When you do choose to have your text in a color, you may be sending it to someone who is has some colorblind issues, and so just be mindful of that when you choose sizes and colors to use for your fonts. Some other things that you can decide is whether to turn your autocorrect on or off, or spelling suggestions on or off. And you'll also notice as you're typing an email, sometimes it will smart compose for you, and you can simply click tab and it will enter whatever the Smart Compose has offered as a suggestion. You can turn that off if you'd like to. And again, there's another way to turn your conversation view. Occasionally in your email box, you'll get something called a nudge, and that means maybe you sent an email several days ago and you haven't heard back from the person. Google might bring that to the top of your mailbox and say, you haven't gotten a reply. Do you need to send another email? That's called a nudge. And so you actually can it can suggest follow-up emails or people that you need to reply to. I like leaving those on because sometimes as the days get busy, it's nice to get that nudge. You can always dismiss it, but that's there if you'd like it. There are various other settings here, but I do want to take us to stars. So remember we talked about stars, and what I showed you is that you can click an email and star it. But what I didn't say at that time is you can also set various different types of stars. You can actually set up to all of them, and right now mine is set to just do one, which means if I click it once, it's going to get a yellow star. But sometimes I like to use them for different purposes. For example, if it's something that is really important that I need to follow up on, I can actually change it so that if I click once, I get a yellow star. The second time I click it, I'm going to get an exclamation mark, which is like, you really need to handle this. Also, maybe I want to pull up the question so that it's, I need to ask someone a question and get back to them on this. So you actually can use stars to mean different things. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and scroll down and click save because I want to show you how this works before we come back and look at the other settings. So let's say this email here, if I click it once, I'm going to get that yellow star. And remember, that meant to me it's going to go in the starred list, and when I finish it, I'm going to unstar it. But because I've now selected several stars, that means when I click again on that email, it's going to get that exclamation mark. If I click 3 times, it's going to get that question mark. So this to me means, oh, I have a question. I need to follow up on that. So when I go to start, it still shows up in stars, even though it's not technically a star. But because I set my stars to be the third time I click to get a question mark, that's why that's there. You still can simply click and remove it, and it will remove it from that list. But that way you can make stars work for you. So let's go back to all settings and scroll back down to stars. So you can decide what you want those to be, and you can just drag and drop or choose from those options. The next thing I want to talk about is your picture. You'll notice this is kind of a little fun cartoon picture that Jane has chosen for her image. I would like to suggest that you put a picture that's either a cartoon version of yourself or your actual face, because oftentimes we have employees that have the same name, and so it's important to see who is who. So sometimes that can be super helpful. The next thing I want to talk about is a signature. This is actually really important, and a lot of people forget about the power of a signature. In your signature, you should put what you do and where you work and how to get in touch with you, so that when you send an email, the person automatically gets that contact information, not just your email, but they get your role, they get where you work, and they get a phone number. And this is something that you can just come in and type. You can format it how you want. Some people put images in their signature, but this is something that's going to be appended to every message that you send. And so this is awesome. So you can actually create a signature and put your information in it so that someone will know where you are coming from and what you do. The next thing I want to focus on is the vacation responder. Sometimes you have to be away, whether it's because you're sick or you're on vacation or you're on a leave of absence, and you need to help the person understand who's sending email to you why you're not getting back to them. So you can actually turn your vacation responder on. When do you want to start? When do you want to end? And you can actually put a message here. And what happens is when it's on, then when someone sends a message to your inbox, they will get a bounce back that explains where you are. Sometimes this will say, I'm out of the office, but I'll be returning next Monday, and we'll return emails then. And that just kind of lets the person know that you're not available. Another way this can be useful is if you're saying, I'm not available, but if you need immediate assistance, contact this person. You also can indicate if you want this to just be sent to people in your contacts, and we've talked about contacts before, or do you want this to go only to people in Henderson County Public Schools? Totally up to you. So if you've made any of the changes in this general tab of your mailbox, you'll want to click Save Changes. I'm actually going to turn the vacation responder off so that doesn't turn on. So that is the first tab of settings. There are also some inbox settings. You may have noticed that in my inbox, and I'm actually going to go back here really quickly, you see how I have a primary tab, a social tab, and a promotions tab. That actually is trying to categorize my email. Now, I don't like having to go to 3 different tabs to check my email. So one of the things that you can do in this all settings inbox tab is deselect anything that you don't want to show up so that they all go in one place. And I really like to get rid of those because I don't want to have to go to 3 tabs again to check my email. So again, I'm going to click Save Changes. So when I go back to that mailbox, you'll notice I don't have any tabs across the top anymore. Let's go back to that all settings. The only other thing that's helpful for you to be able to use, this is how you quickly get to the themes box. Now, here you can set your theme by clicking on the box, and that brings you back up to those images that we looked at before, or those solid backgrounds, or if you just want your regular mailbox. But those are your settings. Now, there are tons of different settings in all these different places. I will suggest to you to not go in and play with things that we haven't covered in this session, because you can actually create rules and things in your mailbox that can become problematic. So again, those are settings to manage your inbox.